I won't touch it. Make up a shot on the brick, kick back like buckets. Snapping that face in my circle like Kit Kat does.
Hello, guys. This is Down the Field Podcast. I'm here today with Zach Jackson, a former Razorback pitcher and a current Oakland A's pitcher. So this is an amazing opportunity to get to interview you. Want to say hi to the fans?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to doing this.
This is once again, this is an honor to get to do this with you. So,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I have 13 questions, and I want to start off with the one that my dad and I kind of came together and made. So, whenever you sent the Hogs to the College World Series against Missouri State, I was at that game with my dad when I was younger.
Cool.
And it was electric. So what was it like whenever you got that strikeout? You knew it was ball game. You went to the College World Series. What was that like?
Yeah, I remember it was either the fifth or the sixth when I came in the game, and it was one of those we knew it was going to be a close game. We just seen kind of how the series had shaped up, and they were such a good ball club. But there was so much focus that I don't feel like that there was a lot of taking it in until once the ninth came around. I do vividly remember I got the second out, and it was, I think a ball was to right field, so just kind of naturally I had to turn and kind of see the whole ballpark. To turn back around, it was really cool. I mean, at that point, all the fans were standing, and I feel like until that moment, I hadn't really taken anything in, but definitely right before that last hitter, I remember kind of taking a few seconds being, a little awestruck by the crowd and, just kind of being in that moment.
A great answer. So I'm going to go ahead and get all the other questions that my friends wanted me to ask out of the way, the people who would be here, but they're not here today.
Okay.
So one of my friends, Hayden, wanted me to ask you, what is it like being in a dog pile? I mean, I think it's kind of an odd question, but
Yeah. Hilarious enough, I've been in two. And I was pitching for both of them, so I was on the bottom of it both times. It's definitely not as exciting to be on the bottom. It is a lot of weight on you. You're kind of consciously trying to position your bodies because it just feels like your ribs are being crushed almost. But funny enough, I mean, usually when it's happening, you're so excited for, whatever the situation is that it kind of overtakes, maybe the pain. But yeah, if you end up on the bottom of the pile, it gets heavy really quick. So that's one thing I do vividly remember was how heavy it was on the bottom.
it sounds like it can be fun, but not fun at the same time.
Yeah, I'd try to get at the top next time. Yeah.
So in your immediate circle, like your family, your friends, who was your biggest influence growing up?
Yeah, probably my dad. I mean, my parents were both very, I mean, never missed a sporting event. Even I'm from Oklahoma, but drove over every weekend, to watch us play. Made sure to catch a few road series every year. So it was definitely them. My dad's always had such a love for baseball that, that was just kind of the one where it was like any kind of accomplishment that happened. It was really easy to look to him because I knew that he appreciated whatever had happened, as much as I did, just, because it was just kind of getting to experience it through me. And, they'd been there for, Little League games all the way up. So, yeah, I'd probably have to say him.
That's once again a great answer. I feel like, I've only asked you a couple questions and they've all been great answers.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So kind of staying on the influence track, who is your celebrity influencer, I guess your idol that you looked up to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess from a baseball perspective, I grew up a Cardinals fan. So I guess you could say, and I was actually more of a Albert Pujols, Mark McGwire fan growing up. Those were definitely, kind of the favorite baseball players growing up. Obviously, with Pujols retiring a couple of years ago, just super cool to see that side of it. I guess from a pitching side, probably Adam Wainwright. Ironically enough, though, I never after probably got to high school, I never really latched on to another player like it. I just remember being such a big Albert Pujols fan as a kid. And the Cardinals won the World Series when we were young, so I was, obviously just such a fan of his. But yeah, since then, to be honest, you just kind of stay so busy, and then you end up playing against some of the guys that, you kind of idolized growing up. And I guess it just kind of gives you a different take on it the older you get.
That's gotta be pretty cool to play against some of the people you looked up to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost bizarre in a sense, but yeah, definitely one of the cooler things that I got to experience.
So, my next question is, since you're an MLB player, what is it like when you first wake up to when you go to bed? What is your daily routine?
Yeah. So usually, I mean, I guess for a home game, typically. So, unfortunately, I've been in AAA for most of this year, which is a bit different schedule. The big league schedule is more so probably get to the field. Let's see if it's 7 o'clock game. Usually get to the field. I'd say at like 1:30. Maybe eat something right when you get there. I guess after that go stretch. Usually play catch. 4 hours for the game. Go shag BP. Everything's pretty laid back. Leading up to the game, and then obviously once the game time gets closer, getting down to the bullpen and just kind of taking it from down there, going into stretch, do your different things. Everybody has a different routine though. And then as far as like post game or anything, to be honest, it's really nothing exciting. The season's so long. There's really not a lot of I guess going out to big fancy dinners all the time or anything. It's a lot of times it's just like, man, the day's been long. You almost just want to go rest and just go sit on the couch somewhere. So it sounds kind of lazy, but I would say the before and after you get to the field, at least for me, is not quite as extravagant as you might think. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's always been hard for me to keep up with the MLB because of how many games there are. I can't
Yeah.
watch all of them.
Yeah. Hey, I do it for a living and I can't keep up with everybody else either.
So, now you might not be able to answer this, but like from when you first started in college to whenever you got to where you are now, who was your favorite teammate that you had?
Mhm. That's good. Probably Jackson Lowry. Yeah, he was on that 2015 team as well, and he's one of my good buddies as well. But honestly, just as a teammate, I mean, incredibly selfless person. Whatever the coaches need him to do, whether it was, uh, you know, go more pitches than probably what he should have that day, or whatever it was, he loves University of Arkansas with everything he has, and probably the biggest Arkansas fan I've ever met as well. But anything you asked him to do for the university, especially while he was playing for him, he would do it in a heartbeat, do anything for his teammates. So definitely from the definition of being a good teammate, I think he'd have to be number one.
It's also a good answer. So I have another member who's normally here, and he always asks a stupid question. Nobody likes it, but it's a tradition to ask it. So it's midnight. You wake up and you want to go get something to eat. Where are you going to go eat?
Mm. So it's midnight. It's basically fast food's the only thing open. Um, Honestly, probably Wendy's. I'm I love French fries. I think if Wendy's, if you can get a fresh batch, has some of the best French fries out there. And gosh, I love all their food too. But yeah, if you're talking about after midnight, I think I'd have to go Wendy's.
That's a good option. So let's say that there's this, like, let's just say I mean, you could think of a teenager or just a little kid and they walk up and they ask you, how do I be like you? What do I need to do? What would you say to them?
Yeah, that is a question you get quite a bit. Anytime you work at camp or anything, a lot of times kind of first thing it's alluded to, and it sounds cliche, but a lot of times it's very effort related. Kind of work that you put in when it's not just practice time or I guess whatever your sport is. It doesn't even have to be baseball, but it's kind of like whatever you're doing on your own time, to make yourself better at what you do, then I think that's where, it kind of separates. Obviously, some guys are just naturally more talented than others. I think that there's an aspect of, putting in time whenever kind of nobody else is looking is, the old, I guess, cliche way to say it, but I do think it carries people a long way. And, for the guys who are equally as talented as you, then that's typically how you separate yourself, is kind of the extra bit of work. And I feel like that's probably the biggest thing.
I can't express how good these answers have been so far.
I
Like
appreciate it, man.
there's been interviews where they give us like 2-word answers, and it's like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't
No,
really.
I get that.
And then there's been where they give us an essay of answers. It's been like just right.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it.
So, your walk-up song when you were at Arkansas, I mean, I personally do not remember it. I was like, I can't remember. I was real young.
Mhm.
And, like when your walk-up song, what was the purpose of your walk-up song and what was it?
So it's kind of funny. I tried to do, I had a few throughout college, and then, so my freshman year, it was, what is that? Seven Nation Army by White something. It's kind of like a rock song, kind of like a pump
White,
up. Then I
yeah.
tried,
White
yeah,
Stripes,
White
was it?
Stripes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah. And then to start my sophomore year, I tried a couple like hype you up ones, and it was almost like I was already so like nervous and had so much adrenaline that I actually had to consciously think of a walk up song that wasn't like super like hype me up, because I would get like too excited out there. I would just start walking people. So going back to, I guess, like favorite players, I had seen that Adam Wainwright had Song of the South as his walkout. And so after I had kind of moved back into the closer role and was trying to, I guess, be a little more composed on the mound, I was like, he was kind of, one of my favorite pitchers growing up. So I was like, I'll just do his. So I ended up doing Song of the South I guess, most of my sophomore year and through my junior year. And to be honest, the whole logic behind it was kind of, the crowd would get into it a little bit, but it was more so I just needed a song that wasn't going to get me too excited, because yeah, it actually negatively affected me.
I have never heard of somebody getting too hyped up.
Yeah, like I said, I tried I don't even remember what the rap songs were, but I tried like two of them, and I just noticed when I was out there, it was almost just like getting too, as a pitcher, you have to have somewhat, keep some kind of composure at least, to stay in the zone. And yeah, that was the one thing I always noticed, like if I got too excited about like a song or something, then I had to kind of bring it back down. So yeah, I had to get rid of the rap and went to something a little more simple.
So what is or was, I don't know if you ever changed it, was your diet that you have or had?
Yeah, this is something that, I mean, to be honest, I'm still not great with. It's better than I was, but um, when I was in high school, kind of before I, had ever even thought about nutritional stuff, it's basically whatever I want. A lot of fast food, you know, uh, essentially whatever tasted good. There wasn't a whole lot of logic in it. You get to college, and ironically enough, and this is not an answer anybody would expect, but they wanted me to put on some weight my freshman year. So I actually vividly remember my first semester of college. I went in at like 170 pounds, and they were wanting me up a little closer to 200. So for, I want to say it was probably a month and a half, 2 months, I ate McDonald's literally every day, to try to just put on some weight, because my logic was, I feel like I can turn fat into muscle easier than turning nothing into muscle. And ironically, my velocity went up just when I got bigger, even though it wasn't all muscle. It was just kind of um, a mass thing. And it worked out. Obviously, the whole McDonald's thing, it's not something I do now. You have to start getting older, your body aches a little bit more, you have to take a little bit better care of it. But yeah, for the most part, that was, I guess, the only thing I guess I did from college on that was kind of like, okay, this is probably ridiculous to try to do your diet this way. But now, I mean, it's not, solely grilled foods or anything, but um, I guess there's definitely a lot of thought that goes into, okay, is this good for me? Am I going to be sore because I ate this kind of thing? So that's about as deep as it goes.
So if you ever want to be like Zach Jackson, you got to eat McDonald's every day.
I'm sure that DVH would hate me explaining that's how I gained velocity and stuff, because I'm probably the only person that's ever happened to. But yeah, it worked for me.
So I have 3 questions left. What is your like I mean, if I ask you your favorite MLB team, you're gonna say the one you're on. So what
Right.
about your favorite MLB team? You know, growing up, your favorite NBA team, your favorite NFL team. If you watch any of that kind of stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, so grew up a Cardinals fan, but again, like even I would even say by the time I got to college, you know that there's kind of a perspective of, hey, I might get drafted. I don't want to fill my Twitter up or anything with like a bunch of tweets about one team or negatively about another team. And it's like, oh my gosh, I got drafted by the team that I've been posting about all the time. So like I said, grew up a Cardinals fan, but truly haven't, I guess, been a fan of any team that I haven't been on since I started playing professionally. Basketball is the Oklahoma City Thunder. From Oklahoma, it's the only professional sport we have, so it's fun to see them young, starting to be good now. Should be fun for the next few years. And football, actually, I'm a Rams fan. They were in St. Louis, and kind of like where I'm at in Oklahoma, it's like you're either a Chiefs, a Cowboys, or a Rams fan. And the Rams were really good when I was young, and just kind of stuck with them when they went out to LA. So, but I'm definitely football is definitely the biggest, I guess, fandom sport for me. It's definitely the one I pay attention to the most outside of baseball.
Yeah, okay, this is gonna sound weird, but I saw it on your Instagram. I wasn't stalking you or anything, I swear. But I saw you were wearing a Rams jersey, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, no, I definitely stuck with them. Obviously, it's a super fun team to watch now. Got a Super Bowl a few years ago, so
I
that side's great. But yeah,
I was very happy to see them win that Super Bowl because Matthew Stafford, he deserved one.
yeah, no, it was. Hey, the trade worked out, so yeah, I think everybody won there.
Yeah, a couple years prior, I actually told my friend, I said, if he goes to any other team, he's gonna win the Super Bowl. And then
Yeah.
like during the Super Bowl, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna be right about this. I got a picture of Matthew Stafford, and I printed it out. I just taped it to my shirt, and I'm like, he's gonna win it because I went to this party.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I knew it. I had the feeling.
Yeah, no, I'm glad it worked out. Yeah, I was happy as well.
So obviously baseball is one of your biggest hobbies, but what other hobbies do you have that interest you or you like to do?
Things I like to do. I mean, growing up, it was definitely going to the lake, number one. That was just me and my family, usually our free time, especially, from like May to September. It felt like, most weekends, if we were doing something that wasn't, sports related, it was going to the lake. Have a little lake family down there that, we all cook meals with and stuff. It was always a blast growing up. Obviously, playing professional baseball, you're gone for the entire summer, so that kind of knocks that out. Stuff now, though, I mean, love going to the movies. Anytime I can go see a movie in theaters, I literally will go watch alone. Sometimes just because I love going to the movies so much. But yeah, have a dog. So usually if I'm there for the off season, it's kind of a lazy day. My wife and my dog is going to doing something, going to walk somewhere, just something entertaining. But man, we're huge football people. So as soon as baseball's done, it just feels like football's done all the time. My wife loves football, as much as I do. So a lot of the times it's a lot, I guess, lazier than I probably like to be, but it's just kind of what we enjoy doing.
Yeah, I love watching football. The thing is, I mean, the Razorbacks are getting up there. They're looking all right.
I'm excited for this year. I'm excited to see this new revamped offense. See,
Yeah.
if it can click year one.
Yeah. And what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah. I like baseball season a lot. I mean I try to go to, all the regionals, super regionals, anything I can. I went to a couple College World Series, but like every hat that I have, I think so I worked really hard to get every hat that the baseball team has ever wore. I got
Oh,
the
okay.
So I've got a green one, a gray one, I got the Pigs brand, I got all that. And it's like if I find out, hey, they're gonna wear this hat to the game, then I'll try and wear that hat if I go. It's
That's hilarious.
yeah, and what was I gonna mention? I was going somewhere with this. I can't remember where I was going with this. But I can't remember. This is just one of the hats I have not wore yet, so I decided to wear it.
Yeah, I
Um
like it.
yeah, thank you. I can't remember where I got it. But I can't remember where I was going with this. Um, I guess I'll just go into my last question. Is there a specific reason you wore the numbers you wore through high school, college, pros?
No, I mean, I guess there's maybe once I got so when I was in what was it in high school? I was number 2 in baseball and 12 in football. And again, there wasn't really a lot of logic to it. It was just kind of what I liked. Never had a lot of, symbolic meaning. When I in college I was 32, and it was more so I was 2 in high school. And so I remember like DVH texted me, and I did not pay a lot of attention to Arkansas baseball when I was in high school. Like I just, loved the school, loved the coaches. So didn't watch a lot of the games. And so they had asked me what number I wanted to be when I got over there. And I told them, oh, well, I'm number 2. So when I get over there, well, DVH was number 2. And so I did not realize that at the time. So obviously that was not a number that I was going to get. So then they just send you kind of a list of numbers that, are available. 32 was on there. There wasn't a lot of deep meaning to it. And to be honest, usually big league guys, a lot of times your first number is just kind of like what's given to you. There wasn't really any meaning behind it, but it did kind of work out where I guess like I was the 61st Arkansas baseball player to make it to the big leagues, and they just gave me number 61. So I was like, okay, if there is any kind of symbolic meaning to any of the numbers I had, I guess it kind of fits. So I guess that would be the one that has something behind it. Everything else was honestly no real cool story, no backstory to it at all. It was just kind of what I got.
All right, so I know I said the last one was the last question, but now I'm thinking about it. Can I ask you one more?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was your favorite moment as a Razorback?
Are you talking about like outside of baseball or?
Well, I'm saying like if you watched a game, if you played a game, like just the moment, maybe you threw you pitched a great game, or like what is your favorite moment?
Yeah, I mean the dog pile to go to Omaha as far as playing would definitely, I mean, far superior to anything else. As far as not necessarily me pitching or anything, the game where if you remember Michael Qualls when he had it was an overtime game against Kentucky, and there was like a missed 3, and he ends up getting the rebound and slamming it with like, I mean, it was like 0.1 seconds left. I was at that game, and that was easily, probably the most exciting, I guess, sports moment outside of like what we got to actually do on the field. Football had some fun games, but that was just such an iconic way to, beat Kentucky that would probably be the other super memorable one.
So I wasn't really into sports at that point, but I remember I've seen clips of it, and as soon as you said the missed 3, I'm like, oh yeah, and then he gets the dunk, and you said that, I'm like, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was definitely the coolest moment at a sporting event I've ever seen live. It was such an excitement.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was super sick. Yeah.
Well, this has been amazing to have you on here. Once again, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
And I had an extra question I was gonna ask you after I stopped the recording, but yeah, this has been awesome. So
yeah,
this has been Zach Jackson on Down the Field Podcast.
That way, and guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.